Hello to all my magic friends in India. I'm Ryan Hayashi from Germany, and I will be joining Indian magician Bharat on his YouTube channel Mallugic. Hope to see you all soon. So the American approach is, bam, hey, how you guys doing? Y'all having a good time? Pause, they all go, yeah!
If it was like that, I would have run from here.
I love to dance. I will do the shava shava. Bole chudiya. Meri saaso mein tu hai samaya. Mera tea window hai tera saya. Teri puja ka dol mein to heard them.
Hello, Ryan. How are you?
Hello, Bharat. Namaste. Aap kaise
Namaste,
ho ji?
namaste. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing good. Yeah, before let me just say this. First of all, thanks a lot for accepting my invitation for this interview in my channel. It means a lot to me, and I'm truly humbled and honored to have you on my channel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for inviting me to do the interview after seeing Sean Farquhar, Eric Chen, and many other magicians on your interview show. I'm very happy to speak to you and your viewers in India.
Yeah, thank you for accepting my invitation. Yeah, so with that said, let's start the session. But before I actually go into the deep questions about magic, I just want to say like you are Ryan Hayashi, and you got interested into magic at the age of 8, and then later at 9 you started training. You began training in martial arts, right? And then later you actually learned French and linguistic in Carleton University, if I'm correct, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then after that, you became a English lecturer at 90s. And the moment where you established yourself as a magician was after 2000 when you moved to Germany, right?
That's
And
right.
then after that, you have won many, international competitions. And in 2018, you actually appeared on Penn and Teller, Fool Us, and you badly fooled them. And then lot of stuff. I mean, you are like an all-rounder. You know, you have lot of knowledge in lot of different areas. So anyway, yeah, this is a magic channel. So I just want to start the session by asking the question about magic. So how you actually got inspired to learn magic? How you got inspired to start learning magic?
How I was inspired to start learning magic.
Yeah.
Yes. Good question. I was 8 years old. It was 1981. And like a lot of other kids my generation in Canada and the United States, I got a magic set for Christmas from my Uncle Michael. And he was always very encouraging. When I started playing with the magic tricks, very easy stuff for children, and never stopped playing with them and continually showed them and started reading books on magic. My Uncle Michael very much encouraged me, always told me to keep at it, that there was a certain spark of energy or this joy he saw in me showing my simple magic tricks. And he was one of those people who told me early on to keep learning, keep practicing, because he believed that I would be good at this one day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's I mean, that's how we all get started into magic. Like someone will have to push us, right? I mean, someone have to make us motivate for learning magic, right? Even though if we get self-motivated to learn magic, at least from family, people have to support us. That's for sure. Yeah. And your uncle actually was so much supportive for you, right?
He was very supportive, yes. Encouraging. He would watch anytime I wanted to show something and told me to keep at it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you know what? Ryan, actually, I'm really fascinated and impressed by your dialogue delivery on your performance. I mean, you actually deliver such epic and powerful dialogues in your performance, right? So I was really curious, I was really curious to know that is it something that naturally comes off, or do you really prepare the script before the performance that you had to say this kind of dialogues at this moment? Because it's like even on Penn and Teller Fool Us, you actually said many things, not only on Fool Us, but I'm sure that on your many performance, but actually on the video which I saw on Penn and Teller Fool Us, I heard many epic dialogues like I'm gonna hurt your brain, and then there was I'm the Jackie Chan of magic. and many stuffs in it. I mean, so is this something like which naturally comes up, or do you really prepare for it?
Yes, a lot of people ask me about this, the delivery of my dialogue, the script writing that goes behind this way of speaking. First of all, just to go back a couple minutes where you said, in your opinion, that I fooled Penn and Teller badly on their show, Penn and Teller Fool Us. Thank you. In my opinion, I do not believe, honestly, that I fooled them badly, in the sense of technically fooling them with a very sleight of hand heavy act. I think I fooled them a little bit because of the specific combinations of techniques and moves that they definitely already know. These are living legends and living encyclopedias in magic. I think even more than fooling them somewhat, I think I made them feel something, and I entertained them. I think those are the two things I managed to do through my very deliberate script. So to answer your question, I am that nerdy. I do work very much on speech and presentation skills. So I do talk like that all the time. When you look at the end of the act and I say, so I'm Ryan Hayashi, the samurai man of magic, show me some love. And then I walk to the front of the stage and Allison Hannigan comes to me to interview me. I was just on such an adrenaline and testosterone high, I didn't let loose, and I continued unscripted. And because I felt so honored and so happy just to be able to pay tribute to two great magic legends and great heroes of mine, a lot of this natural comedy came out, which was just very much me, unscripted, just being myself. And I still laugh when I look at the footage. But from the beginning of the act, "Ai, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. That's Japanese for time to get my freak on." From that to the end. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for sharing this moment with me, because just being here is my dream come true. So for everyone watching, if you have a dream, never give up believing in your dream, living your dream, and doing something every day to make that dream happen. But remember one thing, no matter who you are, no matter how hard you work or how good you think you are at what you do, there will always be an Asian who takes it to the next level. So this was all from the beginning to the end, scripted, was rehearsed over and over again. I did write my own script, so it was all very much me. I had the intention to try to open my soul and reflect a little bit more than just a magic trick, to try to express a little bit my philosophy of belief in human potential, belief in oneself, never giving up. And I believe it came through in that in that 10-minute screen time and resonated with people on an emotional level. I think they sensed a little bit more than just sleight of hand trickery.
Yeah. And I actually forgot to say in the beginning, I mean, the last dialogue was the epic one. I mean, that was the best one, which I loved so much, because no matter who you think you are, no matter how much hard you work, I mean, there will be always an Asian who takes to the next level. And I was like laughing so much. I mean, that was one of the, it's like a savage thing. I mean, I really loved hearing that from you. So my question is, where do you get the inspiration to take such epic dialogues?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's just a structured and very, let's say, compressed, put together piece of my real everyday personality. It's not out of my regular persona. So those people who know me just as a regular guy and spend a lot of time with me would look at that footage and say, hey, great crowd reaction, but that's Ryan just talking like Ryan. That's the way he sounds all the time. You see what I mean? Are you familiar with he passed away, I believe, at some time in either the late 80s or the early 90s. And I'm a generation older than you, but have you ever heard of a comedian and 80s actor by the name of Rodney Dangerfield?
Not very much. Maybe I have heard about him, but I mean, I'm not familiar with the face.
Okay, his two biggest hit films in the 80s, well, I guess these are oldies for you in the 80s, were called Back to School and Caddyshack. Okay. And by then, this gentleman was in his 60s and was playing an awkward sort of hey, I never get no respect. And he sort of played an off uncomfortable to be here, unsure of himself type personality. And since then, you know, a good 20 some years after his passing, and watching him when I was a young boy in school, the interviews with other star comedians and family members and friends who knew him well say that's the exact same guy you saw off camera. And that's why something very authentic about him playing those roles just resonated with me. So in my case, at least, I have found that a certain level of authenticity of me genuinely being that type of guy allowed me to write some outrageous lines that not everybody could say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, just 2 years later,
Yeah.
in 2020, because this was season 5 of Fool Us 2018, even just 2 years later, even I would have to be careful about making any jokes that even reference Asian awesomeness, because it could be construed or interpreted the wrong way. Oh, hang on, are you trying to talk about one group being different, or even somehow more privileged or superior or more disciplined or hardworking than another? And then, you know, in today's political climate, I don't want to go there and say that. I was just trying to make a light sort of a joke and go for a laugh when I wrote that script 2 years ago. Yeah.
But I believe people actually, I don't think many people took that in a serious way, because it's really funny when the way you say it. Yeah, that's what. And you know what? Talking about your epic monologues and all, you have your kind of unique personality. So I believe it's really, really important that we should not copy other performers' style. I mean, we should have our own unique personality when you perform magic, right? When, not only in performance of magic or whatever it is, we should have a unique personality. So in magic,
yes, important.
Yeah, so in magic, how do we find the unique personality? How can we find that unique personality?
Very good question. Finding your own unique personality, I think, in any field in the performing arts, be it as a rapper, a dancer, a singer, a comedian, a magician, or an actor, you have to find your own unique selling points, your own unique characteristics that set you apart from others. I've given a lot of thought to this. I'm now 47 years old, and I've been thinking about this since age 16. So I've been thinking about exactly this question for 31 years, literally. I've tried to decode what made Elvis Presley. Now, the original Elvis Presley fans are now in their 80s or older. So that's older generation. Or the first generation Beatles fans. What made them a phenomenon? Their fans are now in their 70s, the original fans. If you try to analyze a Madonna, a Michael Jackson, an Eddie Murphy, an Arnold Schwarzenegger, a David Copperfield, a Chris Angel, a David Blaine, any of these figures, even a Marilyn Monroe, I keep coming across one commonality, sorry. Sometimes I slur a few words in my Canadian dialect when I speak English. That they were very much themselves, and they just were able to get their work out there at the right point in time. Now, what I mean by that is that music analysts and historians will say that to a large extent, Elvis Presley had a certain sound, a certain groove to his songs that was played by a lot of black musical artists in the United States, but had never made it onto the mainstream radio or sold it in mainstream studio recording records. They had their own minority scene, and this is one interpretation I've heard, that he was the first mainstream white artist that could get that sound out there. So this could be a contributing factor to what made Elvis Presley Elvis Presley. Not to mention the fact that he was charismatic, he was good looking, girls went crazy just to see him on the Ed Sullivan Show and look at photos of him on the album cover, and that he was, the way he was jiving, which for us would now be harmless, just sort of standing there grooving to any track, was the original name the television censors had for him on American TV was Elvis the Pelvis. And they told the editors not to show him above below the belt line, because they didn't want him to, although he was shaking his legs and hips, they didn't want this shown on mainstream American television at the time because it was considered obscene. So although people of my generation and even your generation younger think of Elvis as some harmless old grandpa playing stuff that will put you to sleep, we cannot forget that he was, for his generation, new, unique, and edgy. Edgy. There were conservative families that would not want their daughters watching this man because he was being obscene and making, movements that shouldn't be shown on television. The Beatles, again, similarly, our generation should not forget, when we try to analyze what made all of these phenomena and what they were, that when they came out, they had haircuts that came down to here at the jawline, just below the ear. And no decent boys had those haircuts in those days. They all had the ears clearly visible, like I do, with the sides cut short, the way I do. So they had this insane heretic haircut that just looked like they needed a haircut. And there literally, again, were some conservative groups and families that considered the Beatles too wild for public broadcast or for their daughters to be watching. When Madonna came out, she was, with several of her hits, Like a Prayer, the center of controversy. Michael Jackson as well, with his full-length Black or White. And it goes on and on. Before Bruce Lee, there were no East Asians, or because Asian, of course, means India and Pakistan as well. I mean, from Korea, China, Japan, that end of Asia. There were no leading actors, and there were no representations of what is common for us these days, the Asian martial arts. So he brought something that was brand new to the stage. Arnold Schwarzenegger did the same. Eddie Murphy did the same. So that's the long answer to your question. The short answer to your question, I always come back to a basic rule that Michael Jackson always followed. And in interviews with other artists who say they spoke to him or knew him or were influenced by him, they also reference this basic rule of whatever you do it better than everybody else and do it differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
So I think that sums it up. A very quote I like very much from Michael Amar was that be yourself. Don't try to be like other performers. In fact, if you can, be different, because the more you are like you, the less you can be like anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've just over the years come to realize that one of my weapons as a performer, or what people often respond to, or I hear them talking about afterwards, is my voice, my speaking style, and my use of language. So I've kept at it and fostered my script writing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and that's also one of the point. I mean, you have knowledge you have so much skills in martial arts, and you have so much knowledge in linguistic skills, and so many languages as well, and you have so much knowledge in magic as well, right? So, how did martial arts actually influence your magic, and how did magic actually influence your martial arts?
People ask that a lot. They didn't. The two did not have anything to do with each other in my mind up until the year 2008, when I was 36 years old. Up until that point, they were just separate, unrelated passions and hobbies of mine. So it was like playing piano and playing badminton. I just saw no relation, and one had nothing to do with the other, funnily enough. And then It's a funny story. And then in 2008, a television series came out, which was my first performance on television as a performer. In those days, they sold me as a mentalist, although I was a magician who got casted for the show. It was first produced in Israel by Uri Geller, the spoonbender. And then it was in 2007. The second incarnation of the show was in 2008. No, same year, 2007 again. In the United States, in American television on NBC, and then they called it Phenomenon. And Chris Angel sitting next to Uri Geller were two judges judging America's best mentalists. And then the rights were sold to Europe, and they produced it in another 5 or 6 other European countries. The Netherlands, Turkey, Germany, Greece, Russia, I believe Ukraine, and as far as I know, Sweden as well. There were a handful of other international productions of the show. And in the German show, as they were casting for performers, of course, they put out the casting call, The Magicians. I applied. I was very much interested. I was 36 years old. I've been working on my magic intensively since the age of 16, but I decided at age 12 I wanted to make it my life's pursuit. And I wanted to perform on television, to show what I could do. And so I showed up for the casting call rehearsals in... Oh, I've got my COVID mask, I just realized, in my pocket. I showed up in traditional Japanese garb. If you look on YouTube under Ryan Hayashi Samurai Act, you'll see I'm dressed in samurai garb, and I showed up that way. And the concept the show's producers had were they didn't want 10 mentalists all in black suits looking alike. They wanted the X-Men. They wanted... If they could, I'm exaggerating, a cowboy, a surfer, an Indian mystic with the turban. You know, I'm exaggerating, of course. The James Bond suave gentleman, the computer nerd, the hacker. And I walked in, and they said, "Great, we got ourselves a samurai. Do some stuff." I asked, "What do you want to see, sir?" And they said, "Oh, you got a sword with you? What can you do with it?" So then I just started showing off. You know, some of the swordsmanship, and they said, "Great, we're good. We want you to, this is the character you're going to present in the show, and we want all of your acts related to a samurai sword or a knife." And then I had a problem. I said, I'm sorry, I have no acts that involve a knife or a sword. I can do some card and coin tricks. That's what I got. They said, no, not on this show. You will not use a deck of cards. You will not touch any coins. You will make nothing appear or disappear or change color. You will only demonstrate the powers of the mind. We want mind reading, the ability to manipulate thoughts, hypnosis, predictions, or the ability to sense danger. Get to work on it. And then I then needed to construct magic around sort of this samurai figure, and since then, there's been somewhat of a connection, But other than that, it's a guy who does card magic, you know.
Because in your performance style, it's like a samurai showing his skills, and that's how you present magic. I mean, that's how you that's your personality, right? When you perform, because like your voice modulation is different than how you speak now. And you know what? I would like to know, Ryan, that what's your point of view about like the Eastern culture of magic and the Western culture of magic? Because both are very different, right?
Very, very different. I'm not familiar with Indian magic. Just through my friends, I see a lot of Japanese, South Korean, Chinese magic, so I'm familiar with what that looks like. Just alone in the last 4 or 5 years, they're coming out with mind-blowing, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. The South Koreans really blew me away at the 2018 FISM World Championships in Busan, South Korea. Just amazing work. Made me feel my age, because these guys were the Eric Chen age. They were between 21, 23, 24, coming up saying, "Oh, hello, sir. You know, I've been watching your stuff since I was 8 years old." But you know, that's my age. I have to accept nature. Let me compare the three regional styles of magic that I'm familiar with. I've been living here in Germany, in Europe, for the last 20 years. In 2004, 5, and 6, I was very heavily active in the magic scene here in Europe. And North American magic, which is Canada and the United States, European magic, and in India, how do you refer to China, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan? As East Asia, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then East Asian magic are three completely different phenomena. If let's start with North American. That's where I grew up until the age of 25. If they are stage performers, a large percentage, not all, but I'm just talking general trends, of stage performers, if they're male, this is now changing, more and more female artists are coming out and then will play a non-male figure often, but the male figures would, if they were stage performers, would go sort of a Lance Burton, what's another good example? Sort of an alpha, either masculine, suave, or in control type figure. Not a lot of sort of Mr. Bean or childish or hey, I'm just a kid and figures. And then the close-uppers, although it's changing now, up until a good 12, 15 years ago, a lot of the North American close-uppers, for some reason, were stuck with the idea that they had to act dorky and sort of geeky, nerdy, and hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, want to see some magic? And there was sort of a tonality there that was just, for lack of a better word, in North America, we call it dweeby. Dweeby is just sort of the opposite of confident and a little bit annoying, if that makes any sense. Now, I started out primarily a close-upper, and I myself, because it never fit my personality, just never liked that. It just wasn't my thing. I, on the fundamental level, felt that a lot of these close-up magicians, following this North American trend, which is now older than I'm describing, I'm nearly 50 now, were underselling the magic. So, yeah, what do you think of that? Isn't that great? So it changed. Yeah, what do you think of, you ever been this? Sorry, I was about to quote a specific artist. I don't want to do that, but let's leave it there. European magic is different. European performers, again, it's different if you're talking British, German, French, Italian, or Spanish. The Spanish are very, very intellectual, very theatrical. Even if it's just a single deck of cards, they try to present a complete piece of theater. The French are sort of in your face and, mesdames, messieurs, what do you think of this? I don't know. And the Germans, of course, are a little bit more reserved and will just let the impossibility speak for itself. The British are very understated. Hello, my name is Joe British. I'm a gift of the house, a resident here at this restaurant, so you don't have to pay me anything. I'd like to show you something rather unusual. The good news is it doesn't take very long. And you see what I mean? Italians will just be funny, aggressive, and get in your face and essentially either blatantly flirt with or manhandle your girlfriend in front of you and just go for a laugh, which could turn off some German or British, like, ciao, come stai? What's going on? Huh? Pretty lady in the red dress. Who's she with? Is that your sister? No? Too bad for me. Was kind of hoping. So what I'm going to show you, you see, there's a different personality type. Now, here's a very interesting further example. Although in Canada and US, we also speak English like the British, we don't present ourselves as sort of a quieter, it's all right. So I'd like to show you something rather odd. Good news is it doesn't take very long. The British like that, and we'll find the American approach of a close-upper often just annoying and unnecessarily loud. And why are you yelling at me? Why are you screaming? Conversely, the British approach to North American audiences will actually quite often turn them off. It will not rouse interest. So I'd like to show you something, if I may. Good news, it doesn't take very long. And Americans, if they're in the middle of talking to their buddies or drinking a beer, will be like, sorry, buddy, nope. It doesn't sound to me like you think you're any good. Why should I think you're any good? So the American approach is, bam, hey, how you guys doing? Y'all having a good time? Pause, they all go, yeah, because Americans love to do that. Great, how'd you guys like to see the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your lives? And then the whole room will go, yeah, here we go. And then it could be the exact same routine you pull out, but with a different tonality. You see what I mean? Now, let's get to East Asian. Asian is a whole other style. I lived in Japan for over 2 years. By the end of that, I might have been a little bit more low-key in my mannerisms. I probably was. Both my parents, of course, are East Asian. In general, they are less vocal. Both stage and close-up, I see less spoken numbers. They tend to be more comfortable just pressing play on the music and then doing stuff like this. Especially the South Koreans when it comes to stage acts. They all are very it's become their trend. They have a low-key, slower tempo, beauty and stillness. They can get away with it because when the effect happens, bam, it's super clean, it's wonderful, it's impossible. But I think it reflects the East Asian character in general, because it's part of the culture. Both the East Asian men and women tend to be a little more low-key, a little more softly spoken. In terms of the content of the way they voice opinions or interact with people, tend to be a little more passive, the men and the women. And it shows up in their magic. So other than me, and with all due respect to all of my magic brothers all over the world, including the East Asians, including Hong Kongese, Singapore, South Korean, Japanese, all of you guys, this is only my honest assessment, because my performing style, and I usually perform in English, and the way I use my voice and my script writing style tends to be very over the top, loud, funny, and in North America, we call this alpha, like with a higher than average level of confidence, of bam, I'm here and I'm going to show you guys the deal. That's what I'm talking about, is not typical for the East Asian performers. It just doesn't fit their personality. So as far as I know, I'm the only close-up magician I'm the only biologically, visibly East Asian genetic magician performer that goes with that sort of ballsy, loud, in-your-face, alpha style of spoken presentation. That's the way I would say it. But the normal East Asian style tends to be musical. If it is spoken, it tends to be low-key. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for explaining the different kind of performing cultures very beautifully and in a very entertaining way. And the second thing which you said, that you are the only person who does it in that style. Yeah, and that actually suits you very well. I mean, because that's what makes you unique, right? Yeah, that's for sure.
It seems to be my unique selling point. Yes.
Yeah.
That and the languages. I tend, anytime I perform anywhere in another country where they speak another language other than English, I make my very best attempt to speak that language.
Okay.
For example, if I were to come to India, I would say, "Bahut bahut shukriya." Hindi, कितनी अच्छा लैंग्वेज है, कितनी मधुर भाषा है, भारत में मेरे सभी दोस्तों का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूँ, मेरा नाम Ryan है. And then the Indian reactions would all be like, oh, this guy is crazy.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, of course.
Like a Bollywood star. How is this even possible?
I'm really impressed in your linguistic skills. So I was wondering how many languages you know, how many languages you learned actually.
People ask me this all the time, how many languages I speak. I don't know how to answer that. I never answer that question because it depends on the level of fluency. Now, if I were still anywhere with you in India, shooting a two-man video of me and my bro Bharat, everybody check this out. We're going to go pure Bollywood style. Meri saaso mein tu hai samaya, medati window hai tera saya, Kedi puja ka dol mein to herdem, ye teri ka dom, kabhi khushi kabhi gum, na juda honge hum, kabhi khushi kabhi gum. And if I know the Indian people I've experienced in the last 20 years, because this film's from 2001, any Indian or Pakistani people will automatically sing along with me within the second or third word. And by the end of that phrase, they all lose their minds. They go, whoa, and they're giving me hugs and they're like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe, how is this possible? What are you? And then it connects instantly with people. But having said that, working very economically with the short pieces I have of Hindi, or for example, Urdu, instead of apka se ho ke hala, Urdu ke hala, or if I'm ever in the region, I could switch it to Punjabi, Tamil, and make an attempt to fit with the people. I may be working with a vocabulary of 20 to 30 words, which means I cannot carry a conversation, but I can open a show and connect with the people very quickly. You see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how do we define that? Shall I list Hindi as one of the languages that I speak? At the end of a video, if we ever meet together in India, all of your viewers would swear yes. Even on stage, if I come to India to do a theater show and those, what was it, three sentences, acha tikta, even just in the middle, if I switch, if you forgive me for imitating the accent, if I switch to English, but then I say, I know this is very strange, but I have to explain that I love Bollywood films. Everything with Shah Rukh Khan, everything with Amitabh Bachchan, oh, and then the crowd will be like, oh, as you know. And then the residual impression later is that, oh, this guy speaks Hindi. You see what I mean? Although I might only have used a limited vocabulary for a few sentences I know to open a show, hype a crowd, sing them, a verse, which is 4 lines of a song everybody knows, and then do the rest in English. And then just half hour later, just slip in one word of acha. And that's enough to maintain this illusion that I speak the language.
But I think that's the best way to connect with the people in that region. I mean, they will love it.
Well, I've never been to India. I've never been to India in my life. But if I ever do visit, I think I'd be able to perform anywhere within a smaller setting of a group of friends, in a video shoot, in studio, on the street, in a theater show. I'd be able to make it work. But again, it's being authentic. I'm not making this up. I genuinely enjoy Bollywood films, which not all people in the Western world do. There are some Europeans who've never seen a Bollywood film in their life. It's foreign. They don't understand Hindi, and they don't have the patience to watch 3 hours of a music video, only singing and dancing.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So I try to pick up basic vocabulary. Every time I meet Indian people, I break into this song and dance. I tell them if I'm ever given a chance, I want to appear in a Bollywood film. Oh, this is a great dream of mine. I want to be in a Bollywood film. I love to dance. I will do the shava shava, bole chudiyan, what you want.
Really, like if you're coming to India and talking like this, people are gonna love you so much for sure. Because when people love that kind of foreigners who speak in our language, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's in everywhere, not only in India, everywhere.
Wait,
So
I
yeah.
got to tell you one thing. In the UK, in England, and also in North America, if a non-Indian person like myself, you can be black, you can be white, you can be East Asian, if you begin to talk like this in an imitation of Indian accent, people will not like it very much. They will look at
Yeah.
you and say, what is your problem, man? Are you trying to make fun of Indian people? And I say, no, my friends are Indians. They laugh at this. So it's sometimes misunderstood. You have to sort of show it with kindness. Otherwise, in today's climate, some people will immediately be offended and think, well, hey, hang on. Is funny East Asian guy being racist and making fun of Indian Asian people? Because a guy who looks like me generally should not have an Indian accent.
Yeah.
But I do it out of kindness and just as a way to have fun and connect with Indian people. It's not meant it as an insult or to make fun of
Yeah, I
anyone.
understood. I totally understood. I didn't like get that in a different way. I understood that thing. And yeah, before I actually go into the next questions, I would
Yes.
like to see one of your performance.
Oh, you'd like to? Okay. Let's see. What can I show you? By the level of research, it sounds to me like you've seen all my stuff anyway. But I'll throw a coin routine in for your viewers. I call this the coins from the heart.
Uh-huh.
I usually perform this with music, but now I'll just let the visuals speak for themselves.
Ah, wow.
So even without the music, sometimes I present this musically. Even without the speaking, you can see I pay very much attention to the timing and the rhythm of the routine.
Uh-huh. Wow. So beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Wow,
Bahut shukriya.
that's so clean and that's so beautiful.
Well, that reflects my style. I prefer clean presentation. A lot of coin magicians have a lot of movement. Let me just
Yeah.
hang on. I got another coin with me. We'll have a here. Well, if you keep your eyes on this coin, what I'm going to do is, and I'm thinking like, what coin? I saw a blur. You know what I mean? It takes a certain amount of stillness in order for people to see that you're holding something. And a lot of the style of a lot of other performers is to just have it whizzing around so much that you don't get a clear visual. Okay, and here's my favorite card trick of all time to perform for people. This is probably the thing I do most if people ever want to see a moment of magic and I've got a deck of cards with me. I say that, my friend, we're not going to have a traditional choice of a card where I ask you to take a card. Well, we have to do this virtual anyway. You're in India, I'm here in Germany. Instead, would you please randomly say any card you like?
5 of diamond.
The 5
Of diamonds. Yeah.
4 or 5?
5 of diamond.
5. Forgive me, it was the accent. The 5 of diamonds. Okay. Would you like to see this fast or slow?
Slow. That suits you.
Slow? Okay, no problem. The 5 of diamonds slow. Watch. 1, 2, 3. And that would be, although I was moving my hands quite slow, my way of producing or plucking from the air, the card of your choice, the 5 of diamonds. Now people see that once and think that was a fluke. That's no way that was intentional. And they always want to see it again. If it works the first time, they would swear they don't know what they just saw. I would choose somebody else. In this case, I'll just choose you again. Would you please say any other card you'd like at random?
Jack of Hearts.
The Jack of Hearts. Now you get a choice between one-handed or two-handed.
One-handed.
One-handed, which means I'm going to leave one hand behind my head and just go like this. 1, 2, 3. And from the center of the deck, one card springs out, and that would be card of your choice, the Jack of Diamonds. Now, I'll do it 1/3 time. There's a nice rhythm when I go 1, 2, 3. After people see this twice, they're assuming that I have the mental ability to track a deck of 52 cards dynamically as it's moving, locate any chosen card so fast that the human eye doesn't register it, and produce it with some wild ninja move to create the illusion it's just popping out of the air. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But we're going to take it from improbable to impossible.
Okay.
This time, I'm going to present you your card. Okay, the box is empty. And can you see the box here if I set it this way?
No, I can't see.
Oh, it's gone. Okay. I see. Okay. The Skype ends here. I'll make it work. There we go. Yes. This is what we want. I'm going to present your card for you. And your card, my friend, is right here. Even before I look at it, before you look at it. You honestly, you did not see what card that was, right? You didn't see the card?
I did not see.
You didn't see what it is, but you can still see it's right here in my shirt pocket, within view. Now I'm going to leave it in this box. I'm going to pull it out with fingertips. Whatever you say, this is going to be the card you name. You see how this is different? Because if I show you the card first and you say out loud what you see and tell the viewers what that is, no one will be impressed. If you first say the card and then I show the card and it matches exactly what you say,
then it will be.
Tell us. You will dictate our reality, Bharat. Tell us what card you're about to see come out of this box.
2 of Hearts.
The 2 of Hearts.
It's the Ace of Hearts.
Is there some glare?
It's the Ace of Hearts.
Wait. You said the 2 of Hearts. Sorry, watch carefully. It was just that temporary glare that came off from my LED lights. And you see, it still matches exactly what you say, and I can hand this out for inspection, the 2 of Hearts. So basically, I have this time delay in the reality happening.
Wow. That's like I really loved the concept and the idea. I mean, that's really great, really great. I mean, but you know what? If I would have said Ace of Hearts and you would have gone, yeah, that's what I have, I would be like, what? Then I would go like,
well, that doesn't happen very often. That doesn't. Now,
but still, if it was like that, I would have run from here. Yeah.
Actually, this describes a moment I had just a few months ago before the coronavirus lockdown. I was sitting in a club with a couple of my magician friends, and I think a couple of my students. We were having a really fun jam. And some friends of friends walked into the club, non-magicians, just regular people. And they turned to me and said, "Hey, Ryan, watch. I'm going to ask them over the table. We got it. Let's show them some stuff, man. These guys are a lot of fun." So, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you." "Yeah, let's do some stuff, And then my buddy, a magician, he said, "Oh, I forgot my invisible deck." Which makes perfect sense. If you're familiar with the invisible deck, it's a strong effect. It's to the point. And then I said, "Oh yeah, it's too bad. You want me to show it?" And he said, you have an invisible deck here? And I honestly didn't. I said, nope. Here's what it looks like with a regular deck. And he had never seen this. I'm going to perform it for you as a bonus.